Hey comic book fans, welcome back to the Comic Fix, your one-stop shop for every single thing DC Comics, to some creator-owned to a little bit Marvel. My name's David, and welcome back to the Comic Fix. Now, today is episode 31.1, and I got a really special book to tell you guys about. I did not see any of the people who I follow on YouTube say that they got this book. And I am proud, very proud to tell you guys about a little book called Todd, the Ugliest Kid on Earth. So I was going through my comic book shop and just going through looking at all the beautiful, beautiful comics, and I just see this little cover of this one guy and this little kid with this paper, with a paper bag over his head, little eyeballs, and it just spoke to me. I just looked at this cover and I was just like, oh my god, looks like such a funny book. And after reading last week with the End Times of Brim and Ben, I am so into these titles that are dark, humored, and just have some life to it. And so I thought to myself, I'll give this book a try, especially because it's Image Comics who are publishing it. And Image, in my opinion, have been putting out such good work as of late that they can do no wrong by me. I actually prefer Image over DC Comics. DC Comics has some of my favorite heroes ever. But Image has just been putting out such good content and letting their writers and their artists do such beautiful work and not having a time restraint on things where there can be just one writer, just one artist on one book and they can take their time with it. So I was just right away, without reading it, I was excited. And then I started reading it, and you start getting into Todd's world, and you get to see how ugly everything is around him. But the innocence of Todd in this nasty ass place just made you just put a smile on your face. I mean, just to see the innocence of Todd and everything that he's going through, from his nasty ass parents who are just almost abusive to him, to him just trying to make a friend, and seeing all these kids around him just trying to destroy his innocence. But the heart of the book is just Todd and his innocence. And it was just so freaking beautiful to look at, to read. And the humor works in this book. Sometimes a book can just be so dark that the humor, it feels wrong. But this one, it feels totally right. All the writing, the way it's written, the way the artwork works with the writer, it's just gorgeous. And the humor and the jokes work after time. Like, one of my favorite parts is you hear the father, he's just sitting on the couch watching TV, and you hear about this mass murderer who is running rampant around Todd's town. And his father basically tells him, go take out the garbage, and all the rain's coming down with the thunder, and you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen. Todd's going to meet the mass murderer. And he finally sees the mass murderer, or he's just taking out the garbage. He sees a frog. And one thing about Todd is that, and it was in the description, is that he collects bugs. He can't have any pets or anything, but he brings bugs into his house. Well, he sees a frog. And you see the frog, he goes, rip, oh shit, and as you see an axe come and just chop the frog right in half. Just to see the frog go, rip, oh shit. It was so funny, just the way that you just see the artwork by, I believe it is M.K. Perker. It was just so freaking perfect. And then to see this mass murderer with Todd, it just put a smile to my face. This dark humor worked so freaking well. And then the characters in the world around Todd, I thought, were very much developed. Sometimes with a first issue, you don't get really any development around your main character, and the development will happen over time. Well, in this one issue, the writer Ken Christensen. He does such a beautiful job at creating the world around Todd. And it feels very natural, and you just see Todd in this very dark and ugly world. And he's the one who doesn't fit in there. He may be the most beautiful kid under this bag that he wears. Or he may be a Saints fan. I don't know which. But the beauty in this book is Todd. And he may be the ugliest kid in this whole entire world. Or he may be the most beautiful person in the whole entire world. I don't know, because we don't see his face. But this book has heart. In a very dark and sick and twisted place. It was cool though, because on Twitter I went to the writer and I found him on Twitter, and I wrote to him just like, dude, I freaking love this issue, and I'm going to be promoting the hell out of this book on my YouTube channel. And he actually wrote me back, and I was just like, oh, dude, that guy's so freaking sick. And it just was the right place at the right time, it felt, for me to pick up this book and just enjoy it. This was probably, as I said last week with the End Times of Ben and Brim, that was one of the funnest books in the whole entire week, and this one is one of the most fun. It's the most fun I've had this week reading my comics. And everybody should go out and pick up this book. They will be so happy that they did it. As I went on my Twitter account, I said, Todd, the ugliest kid on earth, it feels like an adult version of Charlie Brown. I cannot wait to see where this writer's going to take us next with not Ben and Bram, but with Todd. And I think I heard that he's going to be, the next issue is going to take place where Todd goes to prison. And seeing how ugly the world is with Todd in prison. Just a beautiful freaking book. From the artwork to the writing, everything just works. So in the end, I'm going to give Todd, the ugliest kid on earth, a 5 out of 5. And let me tell you, this week in comics, with Batman, Saga, all these big name books, and then this book come along and just brightens my day and makes me glad to be a comic book reader. So I just want to say thank you to the writer, thank you to the artist. You made a wonderful first issue, and I cannot wait to go on this crazy ride with you and just experience the world of Todd. So 5 out of 5. Everybody go pick up this book. I don't know because one of my thing about my comic book shop, they love Image and all these indie titles, and they have a whole bunch of them, and they sell. Where a lot of comic book shops, they don't have the selection that mine does. And if you guys can, go on Comicology, just try it out, or go online and pick this book up. Fantastic issue. Next one that I'm going to be reviewing is Saga Chapter 9. As you can see on here, we got the cover of the Will and the Stock. Now, in Chapter 6, the Stock got killed off. And so we just see the Stock in here, and at first I was thinking, oh, okay, it's either going to be a big old reveal that the Stock lived, or it's going to be something that's going to be from the past in the Will and the Stock's relationship that they had. Because it was touched on in the first 8 issues about the Stock and the Will's relationship, and how they, at this point in the book, they had been apart for quite some time. So we start off the book, and it's just so beautiful just to see the Will trying to free the child sex slave. And you see the Stock in there, but you see in there the stitches from where she got shot. And so I knew right away, either it's a dream or it's really happening. And to see the way that the Stock and the Will were talking to each other, it makes me wish that they had more time together in the first 6 issues. The way that the Will has been portrayed in this in Saga has been beautifully done. It's where Brian K. Vaughan, he has been trying not to have everything so black and white. Nothing in Brian K. Vaughan's work is black and white. And so this character who we see go sexitilian, I think in issue 4, and meet this child sex slave and try to free her. And I remember the narrator of the story, the child, I forget her name right now. She reminds us at the end of the issue that the Will is not a good guy and that he is going to be doing some bad things. But we just see this little bit of humanity in him with that one issue. And so it was nice to get that continuation with chapter 9. And it was 100% almost a focal point on the Will. So it was just great to see this, because since chapter 6 got done and the first volume got done, we have barely, just like I think a panel or two, seen the Will. So again, it was really nice to see this character come back and have his full issue. But I thought the one who stole the show was Lion Cat. Now, Lion Cat is the Will's partner. And the only thing that Lion Cat says is, lying. And the way it is done, the way that the humor is done, it was just such good timing between Brian K. Vaughan's writing and Fiona Staples, the way she portrayed everything. It was gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And then we do get some continuation of the storyline at the end, where we know that our characters are finally going to meet. But I don't know how many issues Brian K. Vaughan is going to be doing before they all meet. Because I think the next issue most likely will be taking place with the prince, the robot prince. So just this issue is another continuation of Saga. And when I say another continuation, it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. One thing about the second part of the story of Saga is that it seems slower than the first part, where we saw our main characters try and escape from the planet that they're on. Now that they've escaped, everything feels like it's kind of in that standstill part. But the way that Brian K. Vaughan does this standstill, and it's just beautiful beyond belief. And I think we need this time to just get to know our characters a little bit more, delve deep into them, so when the action does happen, we're able to be like, oh my god, I care about these characters. And one interesting thing is that while reading Saga, from the first issue, you care about these characters. And as I said about Todd, the ugliest kid on earth, is that not a lot of comics get that. And again, it's another Image comic, and it's just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I always take this time just to do my indie comics first, and I am becoming more of an indie guy every single day. Now, I have a huge collection of DC comics. I will never leave DC. I'll never leave my superheroes. But it's nice to know that I can get a different type of comic, and a comic that I can give to somebody as like a huge collection and be like, read this. It is beautiful stuff. And they could read it and they could be, oh my god, I did not know that comics could be this way. Image is doing something just beautiful. And I'm just glad I'm here to join the ride. So Saga, issue number 5, or chapter 9, gets an undoubted 5 out of 5. This book, just gorgeous. Now to get on to my one Marvel book that I got this week, is All New X-Men, issue number 6. Now, with the X-Men, as I said in my previous, last time I reviewed All New X-Men, is that I stopped reading X-Men. And because I felt that it never had a really good jumping on point. There was times when you just had to go look up Wikipedia to see what really happened. and there was just all this continuity. Well, with this book and Brian Michael Bendis, he has kind of just narrowed everything down, and you could just read all 1 through 6 and enjoy the story for what it is. And it's just perfect for a guy like me who's not that big of a Marvel guy. And it's making me care about these characters. There's one thing I've heard about Brian Michael Bendis when he did his Avengers run, is that there was just issues where you just had the Avengers talking to each other and having just character growth happening. And that's what this issue is about. You see a huge character growth between Kitty Pryde and Jean Grey. The last 2 issues have been more focusing on Jean Grey and how she has been evolving since she's came to the present or the future. And it's so cool to see just these moments where Jean Grey, her mind is just hearing all these thoughts, and she just cannot control herself. She's just hearing all this stuff just banging at her head, and the one to calm her down and to teach her how to control her, the things that are going on with her, is Kitty Pryde. And just the reaction and the character development that happened with those scenes, it's just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And to see how Jean Grey is dealing with the stuff that happened in issue number 5, where she found out all the stuff that's happened to her in the future, and how she has died, and how the Phoenix Force has took over her body one time, and all that different type of stuff. So there's a lot to it. And then to see some focal points on the original Scott Summers and him dealing with Wolverine. It's just freaking cool. There was not action at all in this issue, but there were just character moments throughout. And one thing I found out just reading comics and reviewing them is that I love the action. I mean, the action is sometimes why you go to comics. But I'm more into it when the character moments happen. And you just get some insight into these characters and what's happening. And especially on the part with Angel and him wondering what happened to himself. And then when he finally meets his future self, it's just freaking amazing. This is the perfect world for Brian Michael Bendis to be in. And he feels so fresh into it. The only experience I have with Brian Michael Bendis was not on his Avengers run, but was when he was writing Ultimate X-Men. Or not Ultimate X-Men, but I believe it was Ultimate Spider-Man. And when I first started reading comics, I went and bought all the volumes of Ultimate X-Men, or Ultimate Spider-Man and X-Men, and just enjoyed them so much. I think Mark Miller was the one who did the Ultimate X-Men. But seeing Brian Michael Bendis with Ultimate Spider-Man just made me love his work. But then I went more into the DC side, and I kind of stopped reading Brian Michael Bendis. But it's nice to come back to him and say, wow, you have improved as a writer, and the way that the story is going, you know when this amazing battle will happen between Scott Summers and the original Scott Summers. It's going to be freaking amazing. And I wonder if there will be times when certain of the original X-Men will go on the terrible Scott Summers side, and it's just so freaking cool. I love this world that Brian Michael Bendis is making, and I will be picking up his other title that he's doing, Ultimate X-Men. Or not Ultimate, Uncanny X-Men. So, if you're not into or if you've been worried about getting into X-Men and worried about continuity, just know you can go into all new X-Men and know that you're gonna know what the story is going on, and Brian Michael Bendis will tell you everything you need to know. And that's one thing I needed to get back into Marvel and into the X-Men. And maybe, just maybe, I'll start picking up more Marvel titles. Because Marvel now even though it's a gimmick, it has done some really cool things for its characters. I have picked up Captain America, first 2 issues of Marvel Now. And I picked them up on Comixology. And they were just so freaking cool. I'm going to wait until there's 2 more issues and then pick it up on Comixology. That's what I'm doing with my Marvel Now stuff. Mostly I'll pick it up on Comixology every now and then and pick it up more as like a 4 issues or 3. Just so I get a big old chunk of the Marvel Universe. Because with the DC Comics, I just love them. I've been reading them since the New 52. And I got, I would say, over 75% of all the New 52 comics that came out. And I actually went and organized all my stuff. And I got all the ongoing series and all the canceled stuff in certain boxes. I love that, organizing it. I spent all my days off just organizing my comics. It felt like I was just in heaven, just flipping through my comics, just getting all organized, getting them all pretty. And I did see on one of these videos I watched, and the guy, he uses Post-its so he can write on there saying what the book is. And I was like, that's a great idea. So what did I do about Post-its? And I started doing all that. So it was just a good way to spend my last 2 days off. So that's it for this video. I just went and did my indie stuff and my Marvel stuff. And the one book that I'll say out of these 3 to pick up is Todd, the Ugliest Kid on Earth. Great stuff. Oh, I don't think I gave All New X-Men a score. This is the first time I think I've done this in a long, long time, where I had a video with all 5s. 5 out of 5. And when I give 5 out of 5s, it has to have an issue where it just blows me away. It just is like, wow, okay. This thing had either a change in direction where everything changes, or it's just a freaking great issue and just gave me something I was not expecting. And each of these 3 books gave me something I was not expecting. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So, on the next time, I'll be reviewing all my DC comics, starting off with Batman, issue number 16. Oh, God, that's so good. So, I'll see you guys next time.